I was doing it too, and we would go have lunch with them and like talk to them and like learn sign language and
That's cool.
yeah, and it was just like supporting them and like helping them to feel like they do belong and like not casting them aside like, oh, you can't eat with the rest of us or
Yeah, we had a boy who had Down syndrome. His name was Kevin, I believe, and they put him on the football team, and they like made him his mascot, and like they did practice with him, like they made him part of the team, and I think it really like changed who he thought he was.
That's so great.
So,
oh my gosh.
like he had like a cool like little nickname, like he was part of the gang, like people called him K-Dog.
K-Dog? Oh, that's
Yeah.
adorable.
you've seen it's a recent video and I think the boy has Down syndrome or yeah, I think he had Down syndrome and they like made this plan that no one was going to score but him on their team. So they intentionally like would stop at the 1 yard line and like they would stop, get tackled, and then the next play they like shielded this kid and made it so he could score the only touchdown of the game. Even though they were like this really good football team, they let this kid score.
That's awesome.
That's got goosebumps.
That's so cool.
That's really neat. But I'm glad that now it's kind of more accepted.
Yeah, like I remember, this made me think of when I was in first grade. There's a girl who had some mental disabilities, and I think she had epilepsy, so
Oh no.
yeah. But I remember just going through the whole year, and I never knew that she had any special needs. And I was trying to look back and think, like, okay, was that a good thing or a bad thing that I had no idea? It's like, on the one hand, by not knowing, I didn't, like, as a little first grader, I didn't, like, point it out, and I didn't make a big deal out of it. But at the same time, you know, that was part of who she was, and so I didn't really learn to accept it, you know? Like, it's kind of like, it was ignored, not accepted. So I found that interesting. So then when I was in third grade and I did meet someone, like I mentioned, who had a mental disability, it was just kind of like whoa, it was so weird, and like it took a lot more getting used to because I'd never been exposed to it. Like I remember my mom would come in and work with this student, and I remember I got so jealous because I was like, why is she getting all this attention? You know, and so I was like, I feel like if I'd had more early exposure to it, then it would have been a lot easier to accept. So I was just kind of like, my gut reaction was kind of relating back to those feelings, you know, and yeah.
Any mirrors with rules?
I really connected with Catherine in this because like I saw her being so much like how I was at that age. Like I loved her use of of drawing to kind of like express herself all the time, and but one thing I really connected with in the book was when she was first meeting Jason, and she felt really uncomfortable and didn't really know what to do, and like I have been in the exact same boat where like I've been with someone with disabilities, and I'm like, what do I do? What do I say? And so it's just like I could understand her discomfort at that. And so then it was encouraging to me to see her like getting over her discomfort and really seeing him as a person. So I'm like, because I relate with the character so much.
I see.
My mirror when came from like when Catherine was helping Jason and like giving him those cards to help him better communicate. Like I thought back to the girl who I knew who didn't have a voice. Her name was Stella. And like I just thought about how like I went out of my way to like learn sign language so I could better communicate with her and she could better like talk to me, like because she could hear me and understand me. But like if she tried to talk back to me with like by signing, I wouldn't understand her. So like I felt like I don't know, like me learning sign language was kind of like Catherine like giving those
That's cool.
cards to.
My mirror just kind of talked about like the struggles of trying to fit in.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, for sure.
Catherine, like it's hard enough trying to fit in middle school.
Oh god, middle
So
school.
like having something like that, and the fact that she was like hiding her brother kind of from her friends, like she would always go over to her friend's house. She'd never have people over.
And then when she did have people over, she felt like it was a disaster. When it
Yeah.
probably really wasn't.
It wasn't at all, probably, because
it just probably wasn't. Her perspective is a lot different than someone else's and how things go. Like, I know for me, I'm like, oh, that was ridiculous. And then I talk to someone else, they're just like, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. I know, I was loving the middle schooler perspective and like the little drama queen, you know, like, because every little middle school girl is like a little drama queen at some point, so.
Like her not liking her new friend's new boy.
Oh yeah, and he was a jerk too.
Yeah, and he was a jerk.
Yeah,
And
for Pete's sake, I remember reading that, I got so mad. I had to like stop and point this out to my roommate. It was like, this kid is making fun of a kid with autism. What the heck? I got so mad. I wanted to. Yeah.
I just really related to having a hard time working my way into middle school because middle school's so awkward. You know,
Yeah.
we talked about this in my like child development class how awkward middle school is.
It is.
So that's why I don't want to teach middle schoolers because I can't. No, I can't support them with awkwardness because I was awkward. So I'm pretty sure everyone was, but
It's funny. That's kind of the reason I do want to teach middle school. It's like
I
I want
the awkwardness.
like no, no, not that cruel. Like, look at you little awkward. No, just like to kind of, because I've been there and I've felt that, so I can kind of like say, hey guys, it's gonna be okay. You're gonna get through it, you know.
Yeah.
But like another mirror that I found was like when she was with Christy and like having that friend who's like perfect and everything, and then
Competing.
yeah, and then like,
Cattiness.
having that like that sense of like, am I just her plan B? And like
Like,
would you
don't know
rather?
who your friends are? You have to establish them.
Yeah, because I feel like I've had that so many times where I've had to really learn, okay, who are my real friends and who are just using me, or who's plan B am I, you know?
Yeah, we were talking about that in my child development class, and it was like split in half. 50% of the friends you make aren't going to be your friends in the future. It's like you're just having friends to just say you have friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like, are you going to be the person that always like, you know, you can never go to the bathroom by yourself. So you're going to be that placeholder that always has to go to the bathroom with your friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, middle school. Anyways,
Middle
windows.
school.
There were so many different perspectives.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I definitely focused on Catherine's and her parents.
Mhm.
And I talked about how it must feel like to kind of have her parents focus so much on David and
Yeah.
not really focus on Catherine. And it was like evident to see how much she needed their attention.
Oh yeah, because especially during middle school time, because that's
Yeah.
such a, like we were just saying, it's such an awkward time that you need your support of your parents, you know, and
And just like kind of showed me like how hard it would be to kind of balance everything because you obviously need to stay focused on David. You need to keep an eye on him.
Yeah.
But yet you can't forget about your other child and like how do you like show your affection towards your other child when you're so focused on David?
yeah.
You know, it's like a balancing act.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the perspective of the story, like from Catherine's point of view, but I just felt like we didn't see a whole lot of the parents. Like we didn't really get to know any of the parents until the very end when we saw the dad. You know, and like the mom was always in her office or on her phone making a call.
And Catherine would have to help her.
Yeah. Or her dad was always coming home late from work and then immediately taking David to the video store. You know, it's like
She was talking about how the only alone time she has with her mom is when David goes to therapy.
yeah, or is asleep in the car, you know.
Yeah, and it's like that would be really hard, like just like setting aside like 1 hour a day just to talk to your kid.
Yeah, because like I'm like ridiculously close with my mom. She's like my best friend, and so reading that and just it felt so weird to me to see her not being able to connect with her parents. And I'm like, yeah, that was a very new perspective for me, you know, because I just never really went through that kind of thing with my parents.
I kind of thought about, like, more toward the end of the book, about how big of a role or part, like, a sibling can play in advocating for a sibling who has special needs, and how, like, she started standing up for her brother, and
Yeah.
She was just, I think she accepted more of it. Like at first she was like, no, like this can't be my life.
Yeah.
And now she's kind of a little bit more acceptance of him, especially when she met Jason. It kind of like changed, like altered her way of thinking. Like things could be a lot worse, but she's really happy with the situation she's in.
Part of that relationship too was Jason like didn't put up with it. Like he challenged her like
When they got into like a little fight and how
I
he didn't
love
want to pick up the
that.
phone and talk to her.
yeah.
And like he's getting some sass.
Yeah, like I love how like it was going so far to really show that he is a person, you know? Like, yeah, like he's not just a helpless little person in a wheelchair. No, he was like challenging her, calling her out on her like on her baloney. He's good
I think
language.
that's why that she liked him.
Yeah,
She needed somebody
yeah, because
to
like
really do it.
yeah, like she was.
dark in here.
Because like she was always wanting the older brother kind of thing, like someone to stand up for her and challenge her instead of because she was always the older sibling. So it's like she finally met somebody like that, but it was someone who also had special needs. So it's just like I thought that was really cool. But like a window that I also had. What's going off on the sibling thing was like I'm the younger sibling. Like I have an older brother. Lucky me, apparently. But no, like I can remember so many times my brother sticking up for me. Like when I was getting bullied, like the people I was on the tennis team and people were picking on me just because like I admit I was the awkwardness in middle school. It went into high school, so
Yeah, tends to happen.
yeah. So like he was always standing up for me. So that was kind of a window into the older siblings' perspective of like, wow, she didn't have anybody to really stick up for her. You know, she had to do it all herself. So I'm like, until just recently, I've never really had to deal with that. You know, because like obviously now my brother's in Florida right now, so I don't have my older sibling here right now. So I'm kind of like stand up for myself if something goes wrong. But growing up, being Catherine's age, I always had my older brother who was there for me.
How
So
much older is your brother?
he's, well, I know it's like 15 months, so he's not that much older than me.
Okay. Because like looking at my brother, he's 2.5 years older than me, and so we had like a different relationship. It was like, oh, there's my sister, and like in the halls, I'd be like, hey,
Yeah,
She'd be
yeah.
like, hey,
So,
like, really?
yeah.
You've got to be kidding me right now. You know me.
That was how it was with my brother for the longest time, but then, like, he and I finally started getting close. But I always just remember, like, in school, I was PJ's little sister.
Oh yeah, I was always yeah.
Yeah.
sister?
Yeah, I was like, I want to be my own person. So it's like, I didn't really appreciate it as much then, but, like, now I'm just like, wow, it must have been kind of rough for him to kind of have to be the pioneer in school, you know, have to forge ahead, and then I followed in his footsteps, you know, and like,
Yeah.
so kind of made me appreciate my older brother a bit more.
That's what my little sister gets.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, like I'm the middle child out of 5.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so
That's
there's my older sister and then there's Tara who's older than me, but she's my twin, but still. And then I have 2 younger siblings. And so like I kind of have the older siblings that like watch out for me, but I also have the younger siblings that like I kind of look out for.
Yeah,
So it's like being both the older and younger.
That's kind of cool though.
that is cool.
I'm jealous.
But I just love the sibling relationships in this book, like,
Mhm.
and like, especially like at the end when she just like really, it seemed like she was really at peace with David, and that just like warmed my heart, you know, and like.
Mhm.
Like, even the parts, like, when she was sticking up for David, when that jerk Ryan was, like, I'm sorry, that part just really made me mad. Like, come on, jump, look, he's cured. I was just like, that, like, when she was standing up for him and, like, yelling at Ryan, that made me so happy. I was like, yeah, you tell him. And, like, I think that part kind of relates back to what we were talking about with, like, kids needing to learn about kids with disabilities early on. It was like, I kind of suspect that, like, Ryan and Christy, they probably never really had any exposure to kids with disabilities. So then when Ryan, who probably had self-esteem issues of his own, saw this kid who was kind of like, who had special needs, and he saw him as being beneath him and kind of weaker, so of course he would pick on him. And so it's just like, if he had had more exposure to like students with disabilities, then he wouldn't have done that. So I feel like that education, that understanding is so important to prevent bullying like that, you know? So, yeah.
So evaluating, I think we talked about evaluating a little bit, just how the article really complemented the book and the video. That's kind of, and then I feel like about the lens.
I feel like I would use rules in my classroom.
Oh, for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
I was so tempted to just go out and buy a copy myself.
Yeah, I loved it. Like, it was just great.
I was just like
I
practice.
feel like
Even to like read, even if children can't necessarily read it, like second grader, I don't think that would be really that would be
you
a
might
struggle.
read it to them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a read aloud book.
Yeah, like I was actually last night I was practicing doing a read aloud with this book to my roommate because I felt sorry for my roommate. I just kept on talking and talking about this book, like, oh my gosh, Jason forgave her and she's back. And so I was like telling her all these things about the story. I was like, why don't I just read it to you?
I've totally done that. I was reading that one to my roommate.
Oh,
She's like, what's going on in that book? She's like, it looks interesting. So I was like trying to explain it, and I like explained to the point that I was at, and I was like, you just want me to read it aloud? She's like, sure.
all the names for this book kept getting me confused.
Oh, I had to go back and look through, like, okay, who's Nadia's father? And
Yeah, and like
I
there's
need-
a monkey, like what?
I need to get a copy of that book. Because I
Yeah.
can't play the cassettes. Dang it.
I didn't even think about playing them. I was like, oh, that's cool, but we'll listen to them. But
I was like,
no.
nope, I don't have a cassette player.
yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I feel like this list of like avoiding and making sure like it does include those lists would be really helpful to
Mhm.
like refer back to, and it was organized really well too.
Yeah, I really like these like criteria lists that we keep getting. I feel like at first I was kind of like, oh, I don't really want to deal with these lists, but now I'm just like, thank you, telling me
That's what she
straightforward.
means by professional articles / books. Oh, okay. Whew, that was
These
a
things.
click.
Whew.
Okay, sorry, that was really
Yeah.
off topic, but
And then the website that she had posted, the Dolly Gray Award, I really liked that it listed like these books that had won the award, because like you can use them as comparing to like other books, like they can be like exemplars that you can use. Like,
Mhm.
how does this compare to this award winner that?
yeah. I think I talked about how this kind of section of books, if it's introduced to children earlier, it can really help allow students to be less stuck